Hello, and welcome to DeKalb Talks Tourism. Today, we have the CEO, Dorian DeBarr of Decide DeKalb, the local county economic development organization. Welcome, Dorian.
Thank you for having me, James. Happy to be here. And for correction, president of Decide DeKalb.
President. And what did I say, CEO?
You say CEO, but that's fine. They're kind of equal, but just for our audience,
President
yes.
of Decide DeKalb. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How, before we get into your current position, tell us a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about myself. So native of DeKalb County, so really proud of that.
That's unusual, isn't it?
Yes, very unusual. Decatur. Went to Towers High School, actually. Graduated in 1999. Left for a little bit to go to Georgia Southern and came back to raise my family, and I'm still in DeKalb County and living every bit of it. I am a CPA by trade. A lot of people don't know that. Very proud of that, but that's how I kind of got my career started. Started off in that fashion, ended up in economic development, just mission-driven organizations, really bringing opportunities and change to communities in a positive way. I saw that as my path, and so that's why I'm here.
So how long ago did you take a, well, we'll start back. What was your first job with the Development Authority?
So with Decide DeKalb Development
Decide
Authority.
DeKalb.
So my first job was CFO of Decide DeKalb Development Authority back in 2016.
Wow.
Yep. So came in as
And it wasn't long you moved up to president.
No, so I became president January of 2019. Didn't want to become president, I'll be quite honest. It never was my intention. I wanted to be CFO, lead some initiatives, manage some initiatives, wanted to bring some of the experience, some of the relevant projects and tools that I saw in my previous role over at the city of Atlanta to DeKalb County because this is home. And I said, we did a lot of fantastic things in the city of Atlanta. I was there when we opened up the Atlanta Beltline, the East Side Trail. I'll never forget the day. It was in 2014. It was a very warm, not very warm, it was a cool day in the spring, and there were maybe 20 people on the trail.
Oh, wow.
For a ribbon cutting for the East Side Trail. And at that point in time, people say, it's just a walking trail. Why does anyone care? And it has grown into what it has today, which is phenomenal. So with that level of experience, the Beltline, Atlantic Station, all of these huge catalytic projects in the city of Atlanta, I said, you know what, why not DeKalb County? So I decided to come over to Decide DeKalb in 2016, just bringing that skill set and experience, became the CFO of Decide DeKalb Development Authority. And then in 2019, I became president. Again, never my intention. It just kind of fell in my lap. And so in 2019, started as president. I was interim president, which I was happy with because I was like, all right, great. Y'all will find somebody else to take this role. And became interim president. We had a staff of 2.5, including myself. And so it was a lot of work to get done. But through the building of the organization and because of my love of DeKalb County, I fell in love with the role and the position and the organization even more. And so it's been great ever since. So I love what I'm doing. I'm very thankful to be in this role, and it's an honor to serve DeKalb County.
Well, we're glad you got the position because I remember working with some of the counterparts. So we're very excited that you're here and you moved up to full time. And so we're glad of that.
Yes. And one point I do want to make, so we went from 2.5, I love telling this story, 2.5 to right now we have 14 full-time employees. And by the end of the year, we may have 16 full-time employees. So continuously growing, our budgeting growing, influence is growing, and so it's been great.
Well, you like that because, I mean, you got to have the staff to be able to take on the projects. You got to have the finances to do anything to move forward. So
for sure,
they go hand in hand. So, I mean, you can do much more now with all these big changes.
Absolutely. And so it started with DeKalb County government. So we have a partnership with DeKalb County government to be the economic development arm for DeKalb County. We serve all of DeKalb County, kind of like yourself, and we work closely with our municipalities that have their own economic development organizations and initiatives. But DeKalb County government really saw the value and the potential of a Decide DeKalb, and so they decided to invest more funding in Decide DeKalb, and with that additional funding, we were able to bring on some really bright and talented staff. So we are a small team, but we're a mighty team, and I have some of the best staff in the country with respect to economic development, and we do a lot of cool things with a small, cool, swift, agile organization, and I'm really happy with what we're able to do.
So tell us a little bit about, you have two other departments that are inside of, or tell us about Invest DeKalb and the Film and Entertainment.
So good question. So Decide DeKalb Development Authority is economic development. So let's back up a little bit. Economic development can mean so much.
Right.
All right. We could touch so much workforce, all the way down to we want to make sure that we are creating a place in DeKalb County that is right for economic development and investments. So that touches the smallest thing as a sidewalk, street curves, planting. All of those things can fall up under economic development. And so through that mindset, we have two distinct organizations that help us with that. They have their own verticals, but they still fall under Decide DeKalb. And one is DeKalb Entertainment Commission. So it was born through the idea that we needed a central place in DeKalb County that can manage permitting and actually grow the film and entertainment industry here in DeKalb County. We've done a fantastic job through DeKalb Entertainment Commission. It puts us ahead of everyone else with respect to just a streamlined process and a point of contact for the film and television industry. Beyond DeKalb Entertainment Commission, we also have Advanced DeKalb. So Advanced DeKalb, I like to say, is our C3 arm that raises funds to help economic development initiatives. So that's workforce development, redevelopment initiatives, and also infrastructure initiatives. And that's the private sector putting money into the C3 to support strategic economic development initiatives here in DeKalb County. And we're super excited about that. We've been very successful with that function. We've created roles, programs through DeKalb County that have really brought value to the county.
So is this normal, or are you all really out of the box in how this operates?
So good question. So overall, this is outside of the box, but there are other similar economic development organizations across the country that look and feel like Decide DeKalb, and we have some in our region. But overall, this is abnormal, how large our staff is, because some folks do economic development with a staff of one. Yeah. Even within Metro Atlanta, there are some EDs that only have 4 staff, 2 staff. For us to have this many staff, we've really decided that we want to take a holistic approach to economic development. We want to be intentional about all these different verticals, workforce development again, equitable economic development. We want to be super intentional and strategic on how we attack those, and how do we actually add value. And so we've grown to this level. So I love what we're doing, but again, yeah, it is a little bit abnormal what we do.
So we kind of talked about all the great concepts, but literally write down, make it a simple version of what does Decide DeKalb do.
Okay, good. So what does Decide DeKalb do? So we are here primarily to ensure that economic prosperity happens throughout DeKalb County. We have 800,000 residents. We want to make sure that each of those 800,000 residents have access to quality jobs and quality employment throughout DeKalb County. With that quality jobs and with that quality employment, we have a better community. We have a safer community. We have better schools. All of these things play into economic development. So we want to make sure that we provide these opportunities. And it typically looks like bringing jobs to DeKalb County. So we're always out there saying, hey, DeKalb County is the best place to do business. Corporate relocators, corporate relocations. If you're in Iowa, we want you to come to DeKalb County. It's a great place to do business. Your business would thrive here. We also do retention work, so we want to make sure that businesses that are in DeKalb County stay in DeKalb County. Right. We want them to really grow. So I oftentimes say, if a business has 10 employees today, and this is a part of our expansion efforts too, we want them to grow to 20 employees, 30, 40, 1,000 employees. We want that all to stay here. Again, it ties back to economic prosperity and opportunities for our residents. So the easiest way to explain is that we bring this economic development. We actually help sustain the economy here in DeKalb County. We want to grow it, and it's always through job creation.
Now, since you are a little bit different than us, so we represent unincorporated DeKalb. It would be interesting if we had a position like yours where we assisted the communities, but you are actually over all of DeKalb County.
Correct.
And then you assist the individual. How many of your cities actually have their own EDC departments?
Okay, so we got to confirm this, Lord, but I think all 13 have their own economic development functions. But I know how to swing that question. So within DeKalb County, we have 13 cities. All of those 13 cities are intentional about economic development in their own ways. Some of those cities, such as the city of Atlanta, city of Brookhaven, city of Dorville, city of Stonecrest, they have their own economic development departments and or organizations similar to Decide DeKalb. And so they work day in and day out on economic development activities. So we as an organization, which is responsible for the entirety of DeKalb County, we do work closely with our city partners because as the old proverb goes, you know, we go longer and further together
Right.
And so we work closely with all of those.
So really there's no difference between you working with the Georgia Economic Development Corporation or probably with the Metro Atlanta Chamber on economic development pieces.
Correct.
You're doing the same thing just from a county-wide perspective.
Correct. And so I want to make sure that the audience takes away from this is that economic development is a team sport.
Yes.
This doesn't happen if I'm not here with you. And I talk about economic development initiatives, talk about tourism initiatives. That all ties into economic development. I'm not a tourist guy at the end of the day. I can probably do a little bit of damage, but you're the expert. You do all the damage, right? And so we need you, and we had to work closely in order to make DeKalb a better place. So it's a team sport, so I had to work with all of these folks. Like to you say, I got to work with the state of Georgia, chambers, to make this thing work.
So it's a fun job. It's an important job. It's vital to the community. It's vital to the county. It's vital to the state. And you really got to say, you had a massive win-win situation when the land was purchased at first at Assembly, but then when Assembly Studios actually came here, because I know, as you already mentioned, DeKalb Entertainment's part of you all.
Correct.
So Assembly has to be one of the biggest things that's hit DeKalb in quite a while.
For sure, and I'm glad you brought up Assembly. Assembly is a destination, and it is a destination for not only DeKalb County, but also Metro Atlanta. And so just a quick story on who our organization is and to kind of add to what we do. We've been always engaged with that site. Once the GM plant moved out and closed down, it was always an idea of, well, how do we turn this into a higher and better use? So then that is the responsibility of all the stakeholders, including Decide DeKalb. How do we drive a business to this site? How do we make it attractive? So that requires the usage of tools. So we use some tools called a tax allocation district in that portion of the county for that particular site, because that tax allocation district would bring public dollars and an investment and an incentive for someone to come develop. So, James, you can reach out to one of your really wealthy friends and say, hey, we got this site in DeKalb County that's phenomenal. It is within the perimeter, has great access to the interstate, to the transit system. It's within a great county, within a great city. That's how the conversation goes. And then that individual may be like, all right, well, tell me a little bit more. All right, well, it was the former GM plant, so there might be some remediation. At that point, this investor would say, all right, well, I got $15 million. This remediation might take $16 million, right? So that's a $1 million gap, because they got to spend $1 million on remediation. They weren't quite ready for that. But that's what an organization like Decide DeKalb steps in. We've already anticipated that. So many years ago, we had an EPA fund, and we actually leveraged that EPA fund, Environmental Protection Agency, and they have a brownfields program. We took that brownfields program, we took the funding that we received from EPA to put right into that site to make it more attractive. Because of that attractiveness, we got an initial buyer of the site who actually leveraged that fund to remediate the site. So that's how Decide DeKalb is always playing a part in these large economic development projects, and that's how we played a part at Assembly. That particular site, because of market conditions, the pandemic and the like, that first buyer didn't really work out. They then sold it off to someone else who is now Assembly and Gray Television, and now it's turned into Assembly. And it is a destination. It would be a mixed-use destination. And what's important about that is then, again, from the start, from when that plant closed to what it is today, we have always been involved. And the idea is that we want to make it easy to do business in DeKalb County. And we want to make it exciting for folks to do business in DeKalb. But it requires folks like you and I to go out and always sing the praise of DeKalb County.
Yeah, very true.
Right.
And you're right about it being tourism. Once it's open, just the fact the business is bringing in because of the studios itself, then the business it brings in because of Universal and NBC, Great TV.
Correct.
But the amount of opportunities for our visitors to tour nights and weekends and holidays, or to have meetings that's dealing with film and entertainment at that area. So it's going to be a phenomenal draw from a tourism perspective.
So I was at an event last week, an evening event.
Oh, the Fox.
At the Fox, correct. Met with a representative from NBC Universal from New York. He has no idea what DeKalb County is, but now, and we kind of joked, he was like, well, I'm forced to be in DeKalb County now because we've moved our offices down here, right? But that's an opportunity, right?
Yes.
So those are more folks coming to DeKalb County. They're learning about DeKalb, and I encouraged him to learn a little bit more about DeKalb. We are New York. We're better in some regards than New York, right?
Oh, yeah.
More family, more close-knit. I can go out, the list goes on, and not as busy, but ultimately, this is going to drive more folks to DeKalb County. So that's why I call it a destination. We're going to have people from around the world converging on the city of Doraville. And this is not only a big moment, this is our moment in DeKalb County. So let's continue to put our best foot forward. And we need folks like you to continue to drive interest, and the interest is just going to pick up. And just like if we decide to go to any other city in this wonderful country of ours, it's typically something that draws us there.
Oh, yeah.
Like for me, I went to Chicago many years ago, but it's something that drew me to Chicago. It was actually just, and it's really small, the Bean in Chicago.
Yeah.
That drew me. I was like, I'm going to take a 17-hour drive. I took 17 hours. I probably shouldn't have taken that long. A 17-hour drive to Chicago just to see the Bean, right? And so now we have one destination of many that are coming up into DeKalb County during this time. So that's extremely
You actually
exciting.
missed the most important thing about going to Chicago.
What?
Chicago pizza.
Chicago. You're absolutely right. How could I miss that? Yes, Chicago pizza.
Because, I mean, I lived up there for about 5 years right outside Chicago, and man, I still miss Chicago pizza.
And the river. The river is awesome. Also,
That's true.
The river is awesome that goes through the city. It's just beautiful. So, yeah, but to the point in that these are destinations in DeKalb, right? And then as Gray and Assembly continues to evolve into that final phase that includes housing, hotels, office space, retail, all of these things is going to be a complete destination. And we have another destination coming online around the same time in DeKalb County. It's going to be at the former site of North Lake Mall. So you got Lula Hills coming online soon as well. Again, more housing, more office space, a lot more retail, and also hotel space. It's going to be a huge site. And again, Decide DeKalb was a part of that transaction as well, and really convincing and incentivizing that developer to make this a thing. You're talking about a mall that has been vacant for, or needed a better and higher use, we all know, for 20 plus years. All right. So that mall was originally created in 1965. And I like to plug this in that mall was the very first indoor air-conditioned mall in the country. In North
Really?
Lake. Yeah, 1965.
That's
right.
North Lake Mall or North DeKalb Mall?
North DeKalb Mall. I'm sorry, I say North Lake
That's
Mall.
okay.
So yeah, North DeKalb Mall. So yeah, North DeKalb Mall was the very first indoor AC conditioned mall in the country. It was a big deal when it opened up. So 1965, malls declined in the early 2000s, and here we are. For years at Decide DeKalb, we've been like, all right, how do we drive someone here to redevelop this mall? And we found our partner in Eden, so we're thankful for their partnership. But not only is it going to just be a mixed-use development, it's going to bring a great component in terms of walkability. It's going to be connected to the community, trails, parks, green space, things that community folks love, things that I love. I want to be able to bike. So just imagine being able to bike from Lula Hills, which is what it would not be called, to the Beltline, to Stone Mountain, all from this site. It's just going to be a really comprehensive site, and we're excited about that. Another destination in DeKalb County.
That was actually one of the top places for the convention center in the feasibility study, except they were already, on
correct
path to do this.
Correct. And it is going to be a destination. So we're just going to, like you say, the convention center. We're going to continue adding destinations here in DeKalb County. And what I make it clear to people is that DeKalb County has arrived. We are definitely on the map, and we're just going to continue building upon this success.
Well, I know there's some things you're not able to talk about, but any other big projects that you can share with us?
Yeah, so what we're focused on now, and is really, really true to my heart and true to me, is that Southwest DeKalb. All right, so I'm a native of DeKalb, Southern DeKalb. So I'm south of I-20 in Decatur. That is my home. I would tell you, in the 80s, 90s, I remember it vividly, what it looked like. Trash on the street, things of that nature. It didn't look like Sandy Springs or Doraville or Norcross. It doesn't look like that at all. It looks like South DeKalb. All right, it looks underinvested. And I didn't understand what that meant then, but I do now. And today it still looks underinvested, right? And so as the economic development lead for DeKalb County, there is a need for that portion of the county, and that's what we're focused on now. So we were successful in creating this powerful tool and getting our Board of Commissioners to approve this tool in terms of a tax allocation district. And just for context, and I mentioned TAD a couple of times already, TADS is the reason we have the Atlanta Beltline. TAD is the reason we have Atlantic Station and these assets throughout the city of Atlanta. We're going to bring that same energy here to DeKalb County. And TAD also is supporting the assembly development as well.
Right.
So this tool is powerful. So we've created this tool in Southwest DeKalb. We want to improve not only the quality of life for our residents, but also just the opportunities in terms of jobs, access to jobs, workforce development, education, and the like throughout South DeKalb. So that is the huge thing that we're working on now. So we've created this tax allocation district. We've layered other tools in this community. And when I mean tools, how do we incentivize private development to come to these areas? And we're working with our partners like DeKalb County School Districts through programming to really drive workforce development and just educational attainment in these communities. And we're going to turn this community around.
With all the switching back, I guess, into film and other aspects of film, do you all get really involved in the creative economy side of film production?
So we do. So again, through the DeKalb Entertainment Commission, we've been really agile and robust with respect to what we're doing for the entertainment community. So it's not just been permitting; it's also been telling the world that DeKalb County is open for business in terms of film and entertainment. Then it's also just strategic partnerships with organizations to make sure that we are teaching and educating and providing opportunities to our 800,000 residents to be within this industry in DeKalb County. So that's been super intentional, and we'll continue to build upon that in a very intentional way, in a deliberate way, that brings a lot of focus on what we're doing. So I want it to be as easy as if someone wants to be in the entertainment industry, you go to decidedecalb.com and you'll find a pathway there. So that is ultimately the goal. Because, and I failed to mention this, in South DeKalb, we will leverage this industry because of the expansion, the noted expansion of Shadowbox Studios. So you're talking about thousands of people driving in and out of every day of Southwest DeKalb. How do we keep those folks in Southwest DeKalb?
Right.
How do we train folks already in Southwest DeKalb to be a part of that crowd coming in and out of those sound stages each and every day? So this is what we're working on.
Sounds like it's a great thing. And one of the other aspects, I know one of your board members for entertainment is with esports.
Correct.
So esports and just the gaming side of it is tremendous potential for this area.
Correct. Correct.
So we're very excited about all that. And you know, the other thing that's interesting is I had a person on the podcast show, we were talking about music. And the part I did not know, we all knew that, you know, the Atlanta Rhythm section did the song Doraville in Doraville and recorded there. But the part I didn't know, and it's pretty interesting, was that Leonard Skinner did their first the Sweet Home Alabama album in Doraville.
Did not know that.
So they actually cut that album, recorded it right here in DeKalb County.
Wow.
So I think there's a lot of that entertainment side that really, I know as a bureau, we're going to start focusing on with your entertainment commission. You know, and I like the idea that you all switched from film and entertainment, and it seemed like you had something else attached to it, to just broad, big picture DeKalb Entertainment Commission. For sure,
for sure. And I'm glad you mentioned that. So entertainment just is so much. There are so many disciplines within that whole entertainment bucket, right? And we want to be super engaging with that community. And we would really love for that community to call DeKalb County home. Yes. Because when you think about entertainment, you think about the state of Georgia, you think about the nation. But when you go, again, destination, and you'll appreciate this, we want folks to be drawn to DeKalb County because we know that's where the artists live, that's where they play, this is what they do, and they work here in DeKalb County. And this is a great industry. These are creative folks. And for me, I'm not a creative guy, but the creatives have always drawn me. So I'm thinking about Wynwood in Miami. So the creators made Wynwood. So it's this art district in Miami, and you're just drawn to it. When you fly into Miami, I think Wynwood. I want to go see what art they got up. I want to go to the museums. I want to see the art galleries. Things like that drive people to a community. Not only does it drive people to a community and help with tourism and hotel stays, it also says, all right, maybe I want to invest and live within this community. And that's what we need to make the southwestern portion of DeKalb County lean on. So we're going to leverage what's already happening in a big way and make it more front-facing, and we want to be super intentional about it because there are so many different jobs and opportunities in this entertainment space. You're talking about why can't the kid that's graduated from McNair High School score a film out of DeKalb County? We want to make that a reality.
So with that, so what's some of the programs that you're already working with that if you're interested in film, you're interested in entertainment, or any of the things that we've been discussing, what type of programs is there for getting a job or for going to school?
Okay. So two things, and I'm happy that we're already here in the early stage of this. So one is Made in DeKalb. So this is a partnership between Decide DeKalb and DeKalb County School District. So remember I mentioned earlier about partnerships make economic development a win. So it's in partnership with DeKalb County Schools, and the idea is that we connect teachers, everyday teachers, with industry leaders and professionals, and they learn about what this industry all entails. So they go visit job sites, they go visit with people, they learn more about the industry. And the idea is they take that skill set and somehow weave it into their curriculum. And then what it also does, James, it provides these teachers with another tool and another voice to say, hey, college may not be for everyone, because it's not for everyone, but these skills and trades offered here in DeKalb County might be a pathway for you. And so it opens more doors and more opportunities for students in the DeKalb County schools, and we want to position them for the best opportunity in their respective careers and lives. So that's one program, Made in DeKalb. Please look into it. This is our 3rd year in Made in DeKalb.
Nice.
We're super excited about it. There's a great level of interest in Made in DeKalb, and we only want to continue to grow that. And I want to make sure I shout out Advanced DeKalb. So remember I was saying about this C3 arm that we have.
Right. Advanced
DeKalb raised funds in order to support the founding and the continued operation of Made in DeKalb, and it's proved really, really beneficial. Beyond that, we have the Backlot Academy. So Shadowbots had this great idea to create a Backlot Academy, and that was really just born from the idea of, hey, we need you all as a new partner here in DeKalb County with this expansion of Shadowbot Studios. You are now a partner. We want you to be engaged in the community, and we want you to offer opportunities to our residents. And they say, great. With the creation of the Backlot Academy, for folks that have an interest, and we pull from Georgia Piedmont Technical College and other schools, if you have an interest in the film and entertainment industry, we hear you, and we're going to provide you a pathway to get there. So what they do through this academy is that they pair you with industry professionals, where it's folks that work on sets each and every single day. They have a long history here. You pair them with those individuals. They learn soft skills within the industry, real experience they get in the industry. If they go through this course and they graduate, they get a certificate, but it's more important than just a certificate. It becomes that they now have a pathway in, and they're going to have opportunities. And these folks that they work with day to day for these number of weeks can vouch for them and say, all right, I want to bring James onto the set now to work side by side with me, which leads eventually to more work, more hours, and now you're in the industry. So those are 2 programs of work we have in place already. We're going to be bringing more programs in the future. And it goes back to what I said earlier. Now the focus is on how do we develop all of DeKalb County in an equitable way. All right. So economic development thrives in certain portions of the county, but we know that there are some portions of the county where there's more need and has been underinvested in the past few years. We're going to bring investments here. And so this is about how do we bring all of this together, and it's really leveraging industries already there like Shadowbots.
So for our listeners, or when they see it on Instagram or whatever, if they want to find out more about those 2 specific programs, where would they go to find that information?
Great. DecideDeKalb.com. www.decidedekab.com.
Very simple.
Very simple. And they can find me anywhere. I'm on LinkedIn, Dorian DeBarr. Find me, reach out to me. I'm happy to have conversation with anyone. And I mean that. I'm extremely accessible, and I'll tell you why, James. There are a lot of folks in DeKalb County that care and want to do something to improve DeKalb County, whether it be for their local communities, their families, which means the world to me. And I need more folks who are about action and want to see things happen in a positive way. So to that point, I asked staff to create a body within Decide DeKalb for folks that want to be engaged in a meaningful way in economic development. And so we created this thing called Advocate DeKalb. So Advocate DeKalb is just communities, citizens that live in DeKalb County that want to be a part of the economic development process and change. We communicate with them freely as free-flowing communication. They communicate their needs to us, and we communicate what we're working on to them. And so if anybody has real interest in this, they can go through Advocate DeKalb. But to the program specifically, DecideDeKalb.com.
Great. So what would you say has been either your favorite story, your proudest moment, any of those type categories?
Whoa, okay.
And not proudest moment like personally, like family, all that, like business-wise, like the biggest deal you've closed or the
biggest deal I've closed.
It could be anywhere. It could be nice here, but it could be anywhere.
Let's keep it to DeKalb. So I would tell you, James, this is my proudest moment. So seeing or knowing that my staff, that the staff at Decide DeKalb, we're all mission driven. We absolutely love what we do at DecideDeKalb.com, and that warms my heart, and I'm super, super proud of that. And so their mission, their drive, their belief in what we're doing as an organization only helps DeKalb County in so many ways. That's why it's hard for me to say is there one thing I'm proud of? No, there are a lot of things I'm proud of. But at the core of it, it really comes back to the drive of my staff and how important they know their respective roles are. And everybody has a specific role to play. And they do it really, really, really well. And I'm proud to be their president. I'm proud to be in the seat. So that's my proudest moment. Just seeing staff and their growth. I got a tremendous staff, and I can't say enough about them.
Nice answer. I like that.
It's the truth. So a huge element of, again, economic development is a team sport. But I want to really drive home the point of we're also in the space of workforce development. We have a lot of workforce development partners here in DeKalb County that we work closely with. And that's important because, James, we want to make sure that our citizens, these residents in DeKalb County, are positioned for success not only today, but also in the future. All right. So when we're attracting industries here in DeKalb County, those industries need specific roles to be filled within their respective departments, within their respective organizations. And so we created a role at Decide DeKalb called the Workforce Development Manager. This role is responsible for working day in and day out to making sure that everyone in DeKalb County who touches workforce development, that we're all on the same page. And I'm super excited about that role. We have super great initiatives, and we're actually seeing traction gained to making sure that we're all on the same page. So I just want to make sure that everyone understands the importance of workforce and humans with respect to economic development. And we understand on the tail end that with our responsibility, that everyone feels like they're in a better place and have more access to opportunities here in DeKalb County. So that is a huge part of what we do.
Well, that's so important because without people, you can't have anything happening.
Correct. You can't have anything happening. So I can do my best to attract the biggest and brightest widget makers in the world. But if I don't have widget makers here in DeKalb County, they're not coming here. All right. And that's the thing.
Well, but going back to what we talked about a lot in film used to import people a lot to do jobs.
Correct.
Now that you've provided opportunities for education to have them be from here, or maybe they move here and stay, but a lot of it is providing jobs to the local people here of DeKalb or in Metro Atlanta.
Yes. Post-production is what we call it. Post-production will and needs to be a thing in the state of Georgia and also DeKalb County. So we're all actively working toward how do we create these post-production, how do we create the environment that really will bring post-production here to DeKalb County in a meaningful way, because that is where the sustaining jobs are, and that's how communities grow, that's how opportunities are made. So we are really looking toward that.
If people are interested in getting into economic development and what's the skills needed to get to work for you all, any EDCs, what are you looking for?
Soft skills, but more important than soft skills would be a passion for people. You have to have a passion for people. I've seen it time and time again in my career. I've been in so many interviews. The one thing I want to make sure is that the person that's across the table, they have a passion for people and change. Leadership, servant leadership specifically. We are here to serve the people. We want to see this community grow. And I've always said that throughout this interview, and it really drives just our mission is driving and improving the quality of life through the lens of economic prosperity and jobs. So you really had to have the passion and soft skills. You had those two things, you'll absolutely thrive in economic development.
Well, and you talked about it, and I was actually reading just a couple pages in a book before the podcast talking about that they had the perfect skills, that they were people pleasers, people skills, work skills. But the part that was missing in the book is what you actually deliver is the guidance for the direction, the goal, everybody's on the same page. Just your answer to your favorite thing, your favorite story shows that you are on the same page. I mean, I knew that, but just hearing your story really pulls that third piece in. You're hiring for the person, the skills and all, but when they get there, they have the ability, if you're guiding them, to be the full package.
Correct. And let me just, and to your point, the soft skills are super important, James, because we work with so many different stakeholders in DeKalb County. And all of these different stakeholders want to see a better DeKalb. Right. But they look through it through different lenses, like your tourism, I got a chamber person, I got a planning and sustainability person, I have environmental people. So it is our role as economic developers to bring everyone together, understand and listen to those needs, and we have to thread the needle through all of those needs and come up with a sweet gift and a sweet plan to see it forward. And that's why it requires people skills, because I having to listen to people, talk to people, engage with people, and actually understand what their needs are. And we had to bring it together as a team. And I got a phenomenal team. They do that, and we execute.
Well, do you have any upcoming events our readers or listeners might want to see?
Yeah, absolutely. So the week of May 6th, this year, 2024, we will be having a very robust economic development week led by the DeKalb Development Authority. James, this is going to be fantastic. So we're going to do a number of things during this week. We're going to be providing information, context, and resources to our 800,000 residents. We hope they all decide to attend.
Wow.
All of our local business owners, we want them to be engaged. And what this is going to do, James, is oftentimes people don't understand what the DeKalb Development Authority is. So again, I want to thank you for allowing me to have this time and this moment to speak. But this is going to be our way to come out to all of DeKalb County to say, hey, come engage with us as a business owner. What resources are available? Why is DeKalb important to me? We want you to participate during this week. As a citizen, I need to see more X in my community. I want more opportunities. This is where we bring you into the fold. We want you to understand what we do and why, what resources we have available. And we also want to elicit some feedback from folks as well. So this is going to be a robust week. It's going to be an opportunity for DeKalb and DeKalb County to really toot our own horns with respect to the projects, all the success we've seen in terms of economic development, define our path forward in our future, and then again, information and resources for those folks that want it now. So we're excited about the Economic Development Week, May 6th through the 10th. Go to our website, DecideDeKalb.com, for more information.
Perfect.
All right.
You're going to be busy.
Yes, they are going to be busy.
They're going to be busy. Well, and thank you all. Please tune in to our next show.